Well, hello and good evening to you. Welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live from a news up here at Desawe Kanda. Also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. Tonight, we have another exclusive with legal luminary and former Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, Chachu Chikata. He has been reacting to comments made by the World Bank's country director as regards to Ghana's energy sector debts. Stay with us. Also, we put our lenses back on the Office of Special Prosecutor in the pursuit of its mandate to prevent and fight corruption, especially matters having to do with illegal mining. Questions have been raised about the timing, especially in this Kwabena Frimpong Boateng latest episode. Meanwhile, there is an opportunity for you to register your SIM card if it has been blocked for non-registration, but you need to justify why you should be giving this lifeline. We have more details coming up shortly here on Ghana Tonight. As always, let's hear from you. It's very interactive. You go on our Facebook page, TV3 Ghana. We're asking a question of you, our viewers. That is, if you have had your SIM cards blocked, and a number of you don't have your Ghana cards, and through no fault of yours, let's hear from you. The hashtag is Ghana Tonight. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs. The Pensioner Bondholders Forum has rejected the Ministry of Finance's plea to let go of the interest accrued on their delayed principals over the last 4 months. They have resumed picketing at the Finance Ministry and have decided to continue until their bonds are paid.
Government say it cannot do that. It can't pay the interest. We have said that if government is not going to do that, we still want it to be done. And so in that case, we will need an arbiter. So we have suggested that we will submit the matter to SHRAG for SHRAG to go into and tell us whether we have the right to take to demand the interest or not.
Parliament is here to expand the name of James Jetokwason, who was elected in the 2020 parliamentary election to represent the people of the Assin North constituency. The Supreme Court may have given its order to Parliament to expunge his name from the legislator's records, but it seems to be a difficult one. The Speaker, Alban Bagbin, and members are still finding ways on how to go about it.
Only way the institution can carry out the order is for the institution to reason together. And that is only done in a setting where the opportunity is given to members to think through it. There's a need for clarification because expunge doesn't mean delete. And that doesn't necessarily mean remove.
Minister of Communications and Digitalization, Esla Owusu-Ekufo, has urged people who have problems with acquiring the Ghana cards to contact the National Communications Authority with evidence of their application so their SIM cards can be exempted from being blocked. She appeared before Parliament to brief the House on SIM card re-registration and SIM blockade. Former Chief Director for the Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing, Alhaji Ziblim, has pleaded not guilty to 43 counts of causing financial loss to the state in the $200 million Saglemi housing project. This was after an Accra High Court gave him a 48-hour ultimatum to appear before it. Of all of this, because the office was dissolved
2 years ago.
2 years ago, and all these things are happening now.
I don't know what is the mind of people. I wish I knew. But these are not normal times.
But you're ready for anything that comes up?
Yes. Yeah. I'm, I'm trained to solve difficult questions, meet difficult challenges, and I've gone through a lot and done a lot for this country. And if these are the things that are bearing on our survival as a nation, let it be. If these are the problems that will, if going through this will provide all the answers for the problems we are facing in this country, let it be so.
Well, there's a good reason why Professor Boateng raises fundamental questions about timing. The concern has not been about whether the Office of Special Prosecutor or the Special Prosecutor himself has the power to do what it did by inviting Professor Boateng, whether that power exists or not. No, that's not in doubt. But reason why the likes of the Ghana Integrity Initiative and renowned United Nations governance expert like Professor Bafo Ajimendria, they've all raised concern about the timing that all of this is happening. And let's put it in context. This is the first time the OSP indicated that it was investigating the activities of the Committee on Illegal Mining, Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. It was October 2022. This is the letter. October 2022. This is the details of the letter that the OSP put out. And we're going to put that on the screen right now. A copy of it as we recalled in October 2022. The extract, it says, the investigation includes the activities and ongoing inquiry into allegations of a use of public office for profit against Charles Bissiou during the tenure as Secretary to the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. It continues, arising from an investigative documentary titled Galamsey Fraud Part 1, published by Tiger Eye PI. Now, I'm going to give you an update to this because today, the Office of Special Prosecutor has secured a warrant of arrest for Charles Bissiou, but there's a development to that warrant of arrest and whether Charles Bissiou has been arrested or not in that regard. So this is the first letter that came through, and let's put that on the screen right now. This is it. This is the October 2022 letter that came through from the Office of Special Prosecutor. Then, the next detail that is contained in this October 2022 letter is that, one, the investigations include the active and ongoing inquiry into allegations of the use of the public office, and it goes on and on and on, for profit against Charles Bissiou during his tenure, and then that fundamental question about exactly what this Interministerial Committee did during that particular period. Now, take a look at this. This is the second part of it, and we are recalling all of this so you understand why the timing of this investigation and then also the invitation by Professor Boateng is of concern to the many who are watching this as well, and how things have played out over the period. Now, we have no updates whether the CEO, for instance, of Akonta Mining or any other persons who have been invited or not till date, because that is also another aspect of this said letter in October 2022. Some people were invited, but Professor Boateng, who was the chairman of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, as at between October and April 2023, was not invited. Then in April this year, the 136-page report, which he, Professor Boateng, wrote, was leaked. It got all of us angry because of the details in there and the people who were captured in there. When we started asking questions and demanding some accountability, then there was another letter from the OSP dated May 2nd, 2023. We're going to get to you on that one. Was this, as some have indicated, that knee-jerk reaction to it, or between October and May, the chairman, bear in mind, the chairman of this IMCIM had not been invited. Then on 2nd May, this release indicating that, yes, the special prosecutor has taken notice of Professor Frimpong Boateng's report, and then days later, Professor Frimpong Boateng is invited, 16th of May, he attends to that invitation. In fact, he speaks to that. Let's hear from him, because he says that he received an invitation from the special prosecutor just a day after Gabi Asare Tridakon also served him the suit of defamation against him because his name was mentioned in the report. Take a look. But what was the original purpose of the invitation to the Office of Special Prosecutor?
Yeah, they said they were investigating corruption and corruption-related activities of the IMCIM. I found it a little bit strange. Anyway, that was the invitation.
The Special Prosecutor's invitation?
Yes, yes.
I see. And so when the two are...
That invitation came a day after I had received a suit from Mr. Gabi Ochidapo.
I see. So after Gabi Ochidapo...
I'm not saying that the two are related, but just the time frame.
That's it. So he acknowledges that the timing in all of this is extremely important. This is the May 2nd release from the Special Prosecutor. And this is the detail that was put out there when this actually came up first. Take a look. He says, the OSP acknowledges the recent calls for action and investigations into these matters by the public and civil society following the publication of a report on parts of these matters authored by a former minister of Environment, Science, Technology, and Innovation and the head of the dissolved IMCIM. So there's an acknowledgement by the OSP of this particular matter. In fact, and the details in there. And then they also go on to talk about, look, take a look at this as well. It says the OSP, and it continues, that the OSP welcomes these concerns and the calls for it to actually investigate the said report and the outcomes of it, giving assurances of the public and civil society that its investigation is ongoing and far-reaching, and it also covers the matters raised in the report published by Professor Frimpong Boateng. So that is the fundamental issue there. So you have people questioning. In fact, he's not alone in this. Meriada of the Ghana Integrity Initiative also says that the timing of all of this by the Special Prosecutor raises fundamental questions about its own procedures. So it will be good for the OSP to let us know the extent that it has gone with respect to the 136-page report that was leaked, authored by Professor Frimpong Boateng by the end of the month, this month. Because per the law, the OSP is to update us, you and I, every 6 months. And we are in the 6th month of the year 2023. So at the end of this month of June, we're expecting an update. In fact, this is important because of the people who are mentioned in this leaked report, how politically exposed and politically connected they are. And you will hear from Professor Bafo Ajibendua as well as we go on. So you wouldn't blame Professor Frimpong Boateng if he tells you he feels targeted, wouldn't you? And that's one of the points that he made in that interview that I had with him, that with all the way things are playing out, that is the kind of message he gets from it. Why don't you take a listen to him? And in fact, this is something that came up yesterday and quite strongly, the reason why he's asking that civil society should not be silent about this. Take a look. You're targeted, I mean, in all of this.
Of course, in a way, I'll be a fool not to feel that way, you know, that the party allied, the government are serving, and so on, seem to be doing that, you know, because if we hear, whether that is true or not, if we hear the official communication from the jury house saying that the report is hearsay and what is personal opinion, and the Attorney General also saying the same thing, and so on. And you go around the nation, and the destruction and pollution are increasing. Then it saddens me.
Certainly going to be sad. Already, Professor Boateng is facing a number of legal battles. Take a look at this. 3 so far and counting. He says he's expecting more of it to come in the coming days. The first came through from Gabi Asare-Chudakon, legal practitioner, defamation. Another defamation suit, Captain Retired Edmond Koda, head of the Presidential Security Detail, defamation. One, John Oforiatta, a former National Security Coordinator in the Central Region, also suing him for defamation. All of this. We're keeping an eye on these and how things play out. Stay with me. Right after this quick break, former Chief Executive Officer of Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, lawyer Chachu Chikota, is coming up next. He raises questions about the position that the World Bank Country Director, Pierre Laporte, put out there a few weeks ago about the energy debts and how power purchase agreements signed by the previous administration has also increased Ghana's current energy debts. Take a look.
You know, based on all the evidence available, gas was an important source to complement and supplement the power from hydro sources. At that time, the view of the World Bank was against having additional capacity from gas resources. Because the argument of the World Bank, and the reason I'm raising this is because fuel costs are a major part of the problem that we have about the power sector. You know, fuel costs are a major part of the problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint as compared to other paint brands on the market. We take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, 1 bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chese na me ankasa me period na se problems wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chese na nya asem ketewa na me coin point no mo hwe me modam no mo hwe bibia na so mo meduro me fire no ene ma won kra mienu foforo kwa na mkwan mu a eba
and everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko end point o mama nura ene ne ho ade a watimi asori anante.
That's end point for you.
Of Acrobato.
Hello.
Hey, ohwehwe what che?
Okay.
A free bra wo di end point wa dance. Am me call you no. Me Jones sema na enkoyie empeso na maye mre nyina na magina sebema na me be fie for there e ho na nyina jaresa.
You heard everything. I have secret. M-Punch is my secret. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. I'm free.
D aje dwedie nkratoya yatum. At long last, Blue Jays Vodka Mix a Bamarket. Blue Jays Vodka Mix, Numbi, a fine.
This look cool. The guys are chilling with Blue Jays Vodka Mix.
Wow! Numbi, a tasty.
Can we join you guys? We are all single. Yeah. Fun.
Blue Jays Vodka Mix, and we are dead. Taste to me a kama. enjoy the unique taste of Blue Jeans Vodka Mix. Blue Jeans Vodka Mix. Numbi, fine.
Blue Jeans Vodka Mix. Blue Jeans Vodka Mix.
Numune Nyansem, one ton manimpa one in fear don't watch it. And says up in for
Super Farm Network presents a hilarious stage play. Alomo Jota.
Alomo. Why? What is going on? Why are you all bent down like that?
I'm dancing with my man.
Your man? We just broke up 2 weeks ago and you have a new man.
No time to waste.
Okay, so where's the man?
Baby.
He shot you. Alomo Jota, directed by Francis Tetenutako. Date Saturday time, June 2023. Venue National Theatre. Time 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. prompt. 450 cities. Dial star 447 star 1059 hash.
Sponsored by Sun Freight and Logistics.
Ebony Condoms, Food 101,
Everything Right, Brunswick,
and M Notify, and supported by GH Media, MX24 TV,
and TV3.
Ladies, it's been a year already.
Yes, I know, right? Time flies so fast.
Yes, it does. But I must say, it's been an amazing year of goodness.
And that is an understatement.
This year promises to be particularly exciting. As I'm told, it comes with its own excitements, twists, and turns.
Yes, every year. The show goes a notch up as we have beautiful, intelligent, and confident women stepping up for the crowd.
Of course, Ghana's Most Beautiful never disappoints. From zero to hero, your life changes. And this year, the search for a new queen has begun. Don't miss the chance of becoming the next Ghana's Most Beautiful Queen. Join the audition train starting the 15th of June in Tamale at the Garba Lodge Hotel.
The train will be in Kumasi on the 17th of June at the Micklin Hotel.
Then the train passes through to Takrady on the 20th of June at the Rainbow Hotel.
Finally, it stops in Accra on the 23rd of June at the premises of TV3.
Come audition wearing your finest GTP miniskirt and a white tank top.
Who becomes the next queen?
Is it you?
Or you?
Or maybe you. Ghana's Most Beautiful, Ghana's Beauty, Africa's Pride.
Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. Now, just about a little over a week ago, Pierre-Frank Laporte, who's the World Bank country director to Ghana, indicated that Ghana's energy sector debt is a major contributor to the country's debt woes. In fact, he's quoted, and as you see there, in the case of Ghana, those contracts that have been signed as power purchase agreements are just expensive, and the kind of PPAs signed are take or pay. You pay although you do not use it. And he goes on further to say that the fact that is that in the past few years, Ghana entered into an agreement at the wrong rate and the wrong price, and it has impacted the debt situation. He's totally asked government to pursue some reforms in the areas of the PPA signed by the previous administration. This statement attracted a lot of reactions, and indeed, the person who has been in the thick of things when it comes to the GNPC and then dealing with the World Bank over the period with respect to energy matters is a former chief executive officer of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, legal luminary for that matter, lawyer Chachuchi Kata. This is the first of a long interview that we had with him, which we're going to be hearing in the coming days. but he responded specifically to this particular claim by the World Bank Country Director. Take a look. Recently, we've heard the World Bank Country Director, Pierre Laporte, make the claim that some power purchase agreements that were entered into by the previous administration, the Mahama administration, has led to the increase in energy sector debts, which have also resulted in excess power that we're having to pay for. But what's the origin of this? Is this claim accurate in taking into consideration the origin of it and then the context that we're looking at?
I think it's interesting that the World Bank is getting itself into the forefront of this discussion because, again, when I look back at this whole gas-fired power sector, which is where some of these issues are arising, the World Bank has made some serious mistakes in relation to understanding our national energy situation. You know, in the 80s and early 90s, when GMPC, as a result of this gas mandate, was insisting that, you know, based on all the evidence available, gas was an important source to complement and supplement the power from hydro sources. At that time, the view of the World Bank was against having additional capacity from gas resources. Because the argument of the World Bank, and the reason I'm raising this is because fuel costs are a major part of the problem that we have about the power sector. You know, fuel costs are a major part of the problem. And some of those fuel costs have to do with even going back to the use of light crude oil, when, again, this was at the insistence of the World Bank, that light crude oil was a better option because, and the reason was interesting, because according to their analysis and some of the consultants of VRA at that time, the thermal power was just going to complement the hydro. In other words, Ghana really didn't need additional capacity. That was the position of the World Bank. It's documented. Yes.
Use light crude oil.
So light crude oil for them was only going to be needed in the 1 year in 7 when the water level is low. So in 1 year in 7, you buy crude oil, rather than, according to them, commit yourself to a long-term gas offtake. Now, at that time, we were saying it's clear that, you know, the country's growth is going to require more and more power. And, you know, there's documentation which shows that they took a different position. They were on this trajectory of 1 year and 7. So VRA began to have to face the cost of light crude oil for the Abuazi plants. That was really the beginning of a lot of these high costs in the energy sector, which have exploded. They've continued and they've exploded. The high costs, and they literally collapsed the balance sheet of VRA because they were having to, you know, buy fuel, light crude oil, and light crude oil costs, as you know, I mean, they're very volatile and sometimes they go through the roof in certain periods. And so for me, it is kind of ironic that, you know, the World Bank Country Director is not tracing back the history of how we've got to where we've come to, because that history is frankly rooted in certain positions that the World Bank took. And those positions meant that when we later had shortages, we had to resort to emergency solutions, you know, which naturally came at a higher cost than what it would have been if you had planned ahead. In those days, we were projecting certain requirements for additional power based on the, you know, growth of the economy as we thought from the data that we had, you know, from the different sources, you know. And they said that VRA should not burden itself with getting locked into gas supply. They should rather go with light crude oil. And based on this view that the light crude oil will give thermal complementation during the 1 year in 7 when the water level of hydro is low. When you look at the situation today, if those gas projects did not go ahead such that gas supply became available to Ghana, how today hydropower is 32.4% or whatever of the capacity, the power sector capacity. Thermal provides 66 and more percent, renewable only a small percent. So, I mean, if gas had not been, you know, sort of insisted upon and developed, where would we be at? Again, the World Bank, which had in the past resisted GMPC's approach on gas, when it came to a project involving ENI and Vitol in the 2015-2016 period, the Sankofa Jinyami project, I mean, the World Bank could accept to guarantee payments to private sector companies at a gas price of $9.8 per million BTUs. That's a very high gas price. In fact, it's about 4 times the kind of gas price that they were saying we should be looking at, you know, in the period when, you know, we were having those discussions about gas. What they thought would be a reasonable price of gas and so on, 2.5, and later they were providing guarantees for a $9.8 price. I gather there's been some reductions in that price in more recent years, but basically the World Bank provided a guarantee, and that guarantee, I think, cost up, I think, over half $500 million, you know, because basically the World Bank was guaranteeing payments to the foreign companies involved, but at a time when GMPC was looking for some guarantees to develop its gas project, the World Bank thought, you know, the country would not need that additional power. And so I think really, I mean, the country director should really go back a little bit into the origins of the problem of energy sector debt. And because, as I said, I mean, the crude oil and the effect it had on VRA and the way VRA then had to go back to the government. And of course, you could never set a power price which would enable you to recover, you know, sufficient for you know, that kind of crude oil price. And those are problems which I believe the World Bank itself needs to face, because I think they owe it to us to be part of the solution, since they've been part of the problem.
They've been part of the problem.
Very much so.
Well, that's lawyer Chachuchikota there. He intimates that the World Bank has been part of a problem, and so they should be part of the solution. Look, it's just a small part of a number of issues that I spoke with him about in this exclusive interview, but this specifically relates to his response to the World Bank Country Director Pierre Laporte's position on Ghana's energy debts and how the power purchase agreement signed by the previous administration has impacted on the debt. He disagrees, and the historical context is extremely important for us to understand exactly why we are at this point. So stay with me. In the coming days here on Ghana Tonight and across all the major bulletins here on TV3, you're going to be seeing the other aspects of this interview with lawyer Chachuchikota, former Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation. But coming up next, the Pensioner Bondholders Forum has rejected the Ministry of Finance's plea to let go of the interest accrued on their delayed principals over the last 4 months. My colleague Judith Awachitando was with them earlier today. They've resumed picketing at the Finance Ministry and they've decided to continue until their bonds are paid.
Today might have been the last day for picketing for these pensioner bondholders, but they have threatened to send the Finance Ministry to the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice if it fails to pay the interest on their delayed principals. Government had delayed payment of their principals and interest for the last 4 months, that is between February and May. And the Ministry, however, met with the bondholders early this morning to convince them to let go of the interest accrued. However, the pensioner bondholders have rejected the Ministry's offer and have resumed picketing.
Once we haven't returned the principal, we are asking for payment of interest. Government say it cannot do that. It can't pay the interest. We have said that if government is not going to do that, we still want it to be done. And so in that case, we will need an arbiter. So we have suggested that we will submit the matter to SHRAG for SHRAG to go into and tell us whether we have the right to take the to demand the interest or not. So we have decided that we will do an official letter to government demanding the interest payment on the delayed coupons.
The Finance Ministry promised to pay some of their delayed coupons on Friday, but the bondholders gave the ministry a 5-day ultimatum to fulfill their promise. However, none of the bondholders have received an alert and tensions are increasing.
I owe this woman 60,000 cedis. That's how it has affected me. She's my housekeeper. She bought treasury bills with her money, and I was an idiot and I bought government bonds. She, as soon as the thing started, 25th December, I told her, go and move your treasury bills. Now I owe her 60,000. I have people who are ill, my dependents. I can't buy their medication. She buys their medication. The 60,000 I owe her, she has been buying medication for her house, paying water bill, paying electric bill, buying food. This time we can't even give her money to go to market. Drugs, everything, she buys it for us. 60,000 cedis I owe her. Where am I going to take it from? You are giving us our money. The money hasn't reached our pocket. It has not reached our pocket. This one is Bachi Dankwa, Joseph Bachi Dankwa. He's in our house. We are feeding him too. Come on, they should come and bring us our money. If they don't bring us our money, Thursday, Friday, we'll come here. Those people who have just arrived from America, IMF, they should be told, we want our money. What we gave is what we are taking. We are not taking any haircut. We are not taking any market value. We are taking, we are also issue exempt. We want our money. We are taking our money.
Her husband, John Allen, a UK citizen, invested in government's bonds in hopes of reaping its benefit. But this has not happened, and he is frustrated.
It's unthinkable that anyone would do anything against pensioners and their savings in the UK. Pension is strongly protected, and they're getting a 10% rise in their pensions, not a haircut. It's very disappointing. I've brought my funds here. I'm bringing hard currency into the country every month, and I feel like I've been disrespected.
The ministry has promised to pay the remaining delayed coupons over the next 2 weeks, but bondholders have threatened to continue picketing until their demands are met. Judith Awachitando, TV3 News, Accra.
Well, so these pensioner bondholders have resolved to drag the Finance Ministry to the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAG. That's their latest move beyond the picketing, because the last time we checked, they say as at March 30, some 13 coupons and 2 principals were in arrears. Some payments have been made, but not as significant as they would have expected. Professor John Gachi is the Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School. He's joining us on Zoom on this one. Professor Gachi, so you've heard government say that, look, forgo your interest on the principals, and in fact the coupons that matured during that period of the arrears because I don't have money to pay you. It's that justifiable?
I'm not sure it's justified because that period was negotiated and a promise made firmly to these bondholders and to the country. there's no reason why government could now come back begging them to forgo the interest payment. I believe these are vulnerable people, as we say. These are people who need the protection of the government. These are people who need the empathy of the government. I don't think the government should bend on to take something from them by all means. It's not appropriate, and it is like the government is becoming so callous toward this group of people. And I believe that shouldn't be the case. I don't think if these people do not sacrifice this part of what they have with government, that will be the problem of the government, for which government will not be able to resolve the problems of this country. So I think government should just pay them for all of us to move on.
And you see, you heard one of them in that story I just played saying that they're not going to take any haircut. See, the argument of government is that the current economic situation cannot support their calls for interest to be paid on their principals, the coupons that matured over the last 3 to 6 months because there is no money. That's the economic situation is that bad. They can't find money to pay this interest they're asking for.
Nothing that is sound well. And of course, the choice is for the pension holders whether they buy into the request by the finance minister or not. But it's not a justifiable call. And I do not think that that should have any impact on their demand. I think that nations should get money and pay these bondholders. We have seen a lot of things going on in the country that shows that if indeed we are in turmoil, our finances are so bad, we will not get anything to justifiably commit to those activities. But they are ongoing. We can see them. And that tells us that the priority of government is not a priority of these bondholders. So they should insist and collect their money.
So, in fact, if the interest on these matured coupons are not paid, that's a haircut, I mean, in the true sense of the word, is it not? And considering the fact that there's been the dates subsequently that government has given have not been fulfilled. They promised to pay these pension bondholders their coupons, the principal and interest at a certain date. The date reaches and these pensioners don't hear anything. The next time they have to resume their picketing. And this has been going on for the last 5 to 6 months, Professor Gachi.
It's just because in reality, government is having liquidity challenge. That is the reason why they are not able to pay. But on the other hand, government is demonstrating that actually it has money. So it's doing certain things we can see. I believe you know what has happened in Kumewu recently. I believe you know what has happened in what is happening right now in Asin North. That shows that we are just in a normal time. Government has a lot of money to spend on what is priority for the government. So I think it is time for the pensioners to be prioritized and pay.
Well, we'll wait to see how the coming days will look like, and because they've resolved to go to Shraj on this and continue their picketing. Thank you. Professor John Gachi is the Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School. Coming up next, Minister of Communications and Digitalization, Nestor Uso-Ekufo, has urged people who have problems with acquiring the Ghana cards to contact the National Communications Authority with evidence of the application so their SIM cards can be exempted from being blocked. In fact, she said this when she appeared before Parliament to brief the House on the SIM registration exercise earlier today.
Hundreds of mobile network subscribers have been thronging telecommunication services centers to have their lines restored after their SIM cards were deactivated by the National Communications Authority. As of May 30, 11 million active SIM cards were yet to be re-registered with a Ghana card. The Minister of Communication and Digitalization, Esla Owusu Ekufu, was in Parliament to brief the House on the matter.
Some people complain that though they had registered their SIMs, those SIMs were blocked. My information is that several of these complaints are from people who did not complete the second stage of the process as required. Those who have genuine challenges acquiring the Ghana card to complete their SIM registration should contact the NCA with evidence of applying for the card, and their challenge will be addressed after investigating it. We continue to encourage the NIA, the National Identification Authority, to assist people to acquire their Ghana cards.
MPs from the minority side had concerns.
Your statement to Parliament, you quote, and I quote, every registered SIM has been linked to a Ghana card that has been verified by the NIA. Honorable Minister, with the greatest of respect, that is not factual. The truth of the matter is everybody in this room and everybody in this country, including you, Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, who have gone to register your SIM with a Ghana card, your data has not been verified against the National Identity System because the NIA has refused to verify the data.
And non-availability of the Ghana card to deserving Ghanaians is at the core of this problem. When you go to the hinterlands, their access to Ghana card is not as easy as what is happening in urban Accra. Those whose SIMs have so been blocked, some have suffered relationship problems. Some probably have lost their girlfriends, contact with their significant others. Even some have been threatened with divorce, very possible, because why have you not reached out to him or to her?
You have an excess of close to about 30 million. 30 million SIM cards that stand the risk of being deactivated. These are Ghanaians for whom we have a bounden duty in this house to speak for. A lot of them are unable to go through this exercise because they cannot have access to the Ghana card through no fault of theirs.
Well, so those were the issues and how things played out in Parliament earlier today. What we're learning as well from the happenings in Parliament earlier today is that government, in fact, the Ministry of Communications has announced that almost 280,000 merchant SIMs have not been registered. That's the mobile money merchants have not been registered. 280,000 of them, offering fraudsters an opportunity to use them in perpetuating their activities. The Minister of Communications provided an update on this SIM registration exercise and also noted that, indeed, a viral video doing the rounds on social media a few weeks ago indicated that some criminal networks have actually acquired merchants, that's more money merchant SIMs, to facilitate the fraudulent activities. So she reiterated that all unregistered merchant SIMs will be blocked permanently at the end of June 2023. That's at the end of this month. So that's to the mobile money merchants as well who have not re-registered their SIMs. So we asked you on social media why you do not have a Ghana card, and here are some of the comments, because you heard the Minister of Communications making the point that you need to go to the National Communications Authority, NCA, to then, as it were, justify why you should be giving this lifeline, and then also why you should not have your SIM card blocked, because the SIM card remains the only source document for the re-registration exercise. And a number of you reached us that through no fault of yours, you've not had access to your Ghana card. You've only been given a number, the chit, by the National Identification Authority awaiting your Ghana card. And as a result, you could not have access to your Ghana cards as well. And this is what the NCA has taken into consideration as well and have given this indication. Stay with me. We'll be back shortly after this quick break, where a number of you have been sharing your thoughts with us on this particular one and the reactions that we've got from you, our viewers, as well. This is Ghana Tonight. We'll be back shortly.
What does love mean to you? Is it words of affirmation, quality time, service, or lovely surprises? We like to get a little cocky and mix things up a bit on Perfect Match. The drama just went up a notch on Perfect Match Extra. Experience the cocktail of love, drama, betrayal, explosive arguments, and steamy confessions. Get ready for a thrilling love journey with twists and turns as your television experience just got better with Perfect Match Extra only on TV3. Perfect Match Extra.
Friendship, reality, abstinence.
Let the games begin.
Catch Perfect Match Extra every Monday at 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. and the live eviction shows on Saturdays at 8 p.m. only on TV3. Sponsored by Close Up Complete Fresh Protection for your important oral care needs. Geisha Moringa and Geisha Black Soap for soft and glowing skin. Frutelli Calipo Forever Clear. Beauty by Cava.
Darling Lemon Drink.
Flora Tissue. Enapa Foods. Say Enapa. Enye Ono Soko. Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil. Heaven Dear Bakope. Top Choco. Ebony Condoms. Supported by Bell Ice. Capfam. Empire Kitchens. Drugnet. Malcolm. Where Ghana shops.
Blue Jeans Energy Drink.
Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. So these are the responses that some of you gave to why you do not have a Ghana card and the reason why you're raising questions about the decision to have your SIM cards blocked through no fault of yours. This one from Ken Wahab says, my Ghana card is not yet in. Didn't give specifics. Pinto GH says, I registered mine in my hometown now. They are telling me to go to the district office and search for it. Meanwhile, he says, common sense, can't they bring them back for us in that same town, you say? Well, and that's another challenge that has been also expressed about the distance some people have to travel to the district offices to get their Ghana card. Gershon Peter says, I have already registered mine, but the problem now is someone is owing me and he told me his SIM has been blocked and his money is on his phone. I pray they unblock his SIM so I can have my money in peace. Thank you. This one here says, you're pointing to leadership as the problem. This one here from Jupiter says, because I don't have access to one and I can't afford to pay 250 cedis to get a Ghana card because my monthly salary is 500 cedis. In fact, well, you are talking about the priority service, which the NIA has over time explained. And so this is one that when you go to the office, you're not necessarily going to be asked to pay this much from what they explained earlier. John Konedu says, the problem is I'm not in Ghana right now and there is no possible way to get it here in Qatar, you say. Thank you. And there was a certain bracket of persons who were exempted earlier per the communication by the Chamber of Telecommunications Ghana, Ghanaians abroad as well. We don't know the exact period that your exemption would last as well. This one says, they said I'm not Ghanaian, but they are doing it for foreigners like Egyptians, Chinese, France, and co. So why worry? You need to bring a lot more evidence on this. In fact, we'll be very interested in probing this particular point that you made. This one here says, I registered mine since 2019 till now. I haven't seen the card with my eyes. So how do I register? In fact, and please let us know when you went to the office, what exactly they told you. Why since 2019 you haven't received your card? Albert says it isn't easy getting some. The state should consider making it common for all ordinary Ghanaians. Now, this one here says some of us have to go miles away to register. That's a fundamental challenge that has been expressed by many of you out there as well. Also, this one here says that I won't have anything to do with Ghana again. Well, really. And it goes on. This one from Sam says, owning a Ghana card is very problematic. After mass registration of the National Health Insurance Scheme, it goes on, offices were opened at various districts where one can easily have one even up to date. Registration of NHIS goes on, and the concern that you raised as well. A number of you, in fact, we've close to about 500 of your messages on this particular question that we put on Facebook. So here's what we'll do. We'll put them all together and get it through to the NIA and the NCA as well. So you also would get some responses. But before we go, the former Chief Director of the Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing, Alhaji Ziblim, has pleaded not guilty to 43 counts of causing financial loss to the state in the $200 million Saglemi housing project case. Now, this was after an Accra High Court gave him a 48-hour ultimatum to appear before it. My colleague Lord Eduasari was there earlier today.
After going against medical advice, Alhaji Ziblim Yakubu appeared before the High Court in a wheelchair for his plea to be taken. Earlier, presiding judge Ernest Owusu Dapaah had ordered the former Chief Director of the Water, Works and Housing Ministry to appear in court in order for the proceedings to continue, since pleas of 4 others, including Alhaji Collins Dauda, had already been taken. Alhaji Ziblim Yakubu, who is the third accused in the case, pleaded not guilty to all 43 counts of causing financial loss to the state when the charges were read to him. Citing Articles 14 and 19 of the Constitution, lead counsel for Alhaji Ziblim, Eduji Tamaklu, prayed the court to allow his client to be absent on subsequent sittings since moving around would be a challenge to his health per his medical report. But Principal State Attorney Hilda Craig in a U-turn argued that the gravity of the charges against the accused person disallowed him from not being present in court. She had earlier told the court that the accused could be represented by his counsel at his subsequent sittings if he could not be present. After hearing arguments from both sides, Justice Ernest Owusu Dapaah asked Alhaji Ziblim Yakubu if he would want his lawyer to stand in for him so the trial could proceed without him, to which he responded in the affirmative. The case has since been adjourned to June 12. Lord Eduasari, TV3 News, Accra.
Now, we have an update on a story that was earlier published. In fact, the Office of the Special Prosecutor was reported to have secured an order from the court to arrest former Secretary to the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Bissiu. This order was secured after Mr. Bissiu failed to honor an invitation by the Special Prosecutor last month. The update is that Charles Bissiu's lawyer says that despite the issuance of the court order for his client's arrest, he will not be turning himself in. Nana Ajay Bafwewa said this is not because his client is on the run, but because the arrest warrant was improperly secured. That's the quote you see there. So we'll see and monitoring quite closely how this will play out in this particular Charles Bissiu case. It's quoted as saying the court made that order without being fed with the global evidence in the matter and granted the arrest order without properly exercising its discretion, not through its fault. That's Nanaje Bafo Ewa, Charles Bissiu's personal lawyer, quoted as making this. Thank you for staying with us here on Ghana Tonight. Join us same time tomorrow for some more. I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.